What is going on, people? We are Tottenham TV here for your predicted lineup. Newcastle away, the fixture that we all seem to dread, particularly after the last couple of years. We've got absolute maulings up there 2 years in a row. But this year is going to be different, isn't it, Sim?
Let's hope so. That's what we're praying for.
Ange Postecoglou did his press conference yesterday. There is some team news to talk about. So what are we dealing with?
Not great, to be honest. Obviously, Solanke remains out, but Ange said it was only just a precaution. So that they're erring on the side of caution, I should say, for this week. So he's not going to be available.
Be good with the international break as well.
Yeah, and hopefully be out for Arsenal. Richarlison, bad news for him. He's going to be missing for a few weeks, he said, after looks like he's picked up another muscle injury, which is really frustrating for him and for us.
Doesn't stop, does it, with Richarlison?
But I think other than that...
Bentancur's back.
Bentancur's back from the concussion injury. And I think we've pretty much got a full bill of health, actually.
And there was rumours about Van de Ven, but there was no word about him in the press conference.
I mean, it wasn't rumours. He obviously went down in the last game against Everton, didn't he? And it looked like he was going to come off.
But they were saying he didn't see him in training.
Some people said he didn't see him in training, but he didn't mention him, so I'm assuming he's going to be fit.
All right, well, let's get straight into it. Going for a 4-3-3 formation in goal is obviously going to be Big Vic.
Yeah, and I think he might have a bit of a busy afternoon. It's going to be one of those games, I feel, if Newcastle are going to be sitting back and looking at the counter. If he can pull off any really good saves, you know, from dangerous situations, that could be really important for us getting 3 points here. Because I feel like I've got a feeling the Newcastle chances might be limited, but they might be good quality ones when they get them. So if we can make any crucial saves at that point, that could go a long way to seeing if we can get a really positive result here.
Right back, we will be going for Pedro Porro, who's had a really good start to the season.
Yeah, I really liking the look of him at the moment. He's going to have his work out in this game, whether it be Barnes or Gordon on that side. I'm not 100% sure which one yet. They're both good dribblers. They're both good at attacking space as well. And that's definitely one that that's one of the one I'm most worried about when I'm looking at the back line and how we're going to fare on the counter-attack. So if he can get his game on defensively, and obviously we know he's got great delivery, we know how good he is on the ball, I've got no question marks about that, but he's definitely one we've got to be a bit worried about going the other way. I'm not saying he's bad defensively, I just think he's probably the most likely to be got at, I think. Right centre back will be Cuti Romero. Didn't cover himself in glory in the first game, albeit he did have a fairly good game overall. But last game he was absolutely brilliant, back to his utmost best, and we're going to need him in that similar vein of form, aren't we, this weekend? 100%. And if he can play, the rest of the season like he did against Everton, we will have no problem. Obviously, he did play against Newcastle last time. I thought he was terrible in the 4-0 defeat. He just was a bit all over the place. So he's going to have to sharpen up. He's obviously got one of the best strikers in the league. He's going to be facing. He's going to have to watch his runs, make sure he's not getting the better of him. But on the ball, if he can play some of those passes over the top to Maddison like he was against Everton, that could be so crucial to just breaking the lock.
Absolutely. And alongside him will be Mickey Van de Ven, who again I thought in the last game was absolutely brilliant. And the partnership that these two guys have, I just love it. I love it.
And obviously, he was going to have bad memories of St James's Park when he slipped twice, fell on his face a couple of times up against Isak, and that's not something he'll want to repeat. But I'm hoping, look, it's not one of those things that you can learn from. It's just one of the things that happens and you just move past. And hopefully he can banish those memories in this game.
Yeah, I felt a lot of them, like his teammates were putting him to bad situations as well.
That's also true. But, you know, Van de Ven is so good at sweeping other players' mistakes. It's not like him to fall flat on his face like that. Yeah. So, let's hope that doesn't happen again.
And then to make up that back four, on the left back will be Destiny Udogie. And obviously we didn't see him for the majority of pre-season, but it's just so good to have him back, isn't it?
Yeah, fantastic. We know what a vital player is to our back line, and he's so crucial in terms of progressing the ball with his strength, and he's so hard to get the ball off. So that could be crucial in this game against Newcastle to just getting the better of them. Obviously, on that side as well, he might be up against Gordon or Barnes if they play them both on the wing. One of them's going to be on the right. So I back Udogie to win that battle more than I would back Porro. But it's still going to be a challenge.
So the back four is going to be the usual back four. So Vicario in goal, Porro on the right, Udogie on the left, Van de Ven and Romero in the centre-back positions. In the number 6, we are sticking with Yves Bissouma after he's on the redemption arc, isn't he? Brilliant performance, brilliant goal. And if he can put in that same performance on a consistent basis now, no one would have any issues with him.
Definitely. And he was brilliant against Everton. he's definitely going to have a really difficult game here because Tonali's back, Guimaraes is there, Joel Linton's one of the most...
And Tonali will have something to prove as well.
For sure, and Joel Linton's one of the most aggressive midfielders in the league. So it's going to be a very hard game for him, and he's going to have to be even much better than he was against Everton if we're going to dominate that midfield. But he had a great game, and I think he'll get rewarded for that with another start. And if he's at his best, we know he's a challenge for any midfield, but we also know if he has a lapses of concentration and all that, all of a sudden he can be a bit of a liability. So we've got to make sure he's on his game in this one.
So that's Bissouma in the 6. In the 8, we are going to go with Rodrigo Bentancur. I feel like after the concussion, he was having a fairly good game, and we need that kind of grit in the midfield. Pape Matar is an option as well, but I just feel, just on form, he's going to side a bit with Rodrigo Bentancur.
Yeah. First of all, form, he's playing well. I think he had a really good start to the game against Leicester, and unfortunately he had to go off because of that concussion. But also, I just feel like we're going to need a bit more still. Yes, Kulusevski could provide that in the middle if he played there, but I feel like he's going to want a bit more aggression, a bit more duel winning, and I think Bentancur provides that. And he can play the 8. We know he could be good going forward. I think he's starting to look like his old self, so we're going to just add a bit more steel and put Bentancur in there.
And then in number 10 is going to be James Maddison, who has started the season on absolute fire. I think a goal contribution or 2 goal contributions so far.
Yeah, 2 assists in 2
2
games.
assists in 2 games. I want to see him take a few more shots from maybe outside the box because we know he's got that in his locker. But he started the season in a bit of a similar light, which he started last season too.
Yeah, looking like his old self. He's looking really creative. I think he could be really crucial to actually, if we were to pick the lock here and win the game, he's going to be so crucial to add in that little bit of quality, a little bit of magic in the final third, which we struggled badly with last season, trying to get that against Newcastle. Maddison was one of the players who was probably most guilty. So if he's on his game, if he gets a few chances to swing it across or open up Newcastle, if he can take that could be very crucial. And he's started really well, so let's hope he can do it.
Yeah, so that's Bissouma, Bentancur and Maddison in the middle 3. On the right-hand side of the attack, we think Ange is going to go with Brennan Johnson.
Yeah, we obviously there's a toss-up potentially between Brennan, between Odebear. You could even argue maybe put Decky there and Son up front, but we're going to go with Brennan. I know he started the first 2 games and hasn't done so well, but I do think in this kind of game, he knows that Brennan has the ability, if he gets to that position to whip the cross in, he knows he can put it on a plate for the striker. And I just got a feeling he's going to give him one more game to show if he can improve and take on Dan Burn. And I think he's coming to the season as our first choice right winger, and I think he's just going to give him one more opportunity here. If he has another really poor game, I reckon maybe Odebear comes in, but I don't know if he sees Odebear his best position on the right-hand side because he started him on the left against Everton. So on that basis, I just feel like he's just going to side with Brendan for one more game.
Yeah, I feel like he only started him on the left because he wanted Sonny in the middle, in the number 9.
Yeah, but he could have sided Werner. You know what I mean?
Could have sided Werner, yeah. Fair. So yeah, we're going Brennan on the right. On the left, we are going to go for Son Heung-min, our captain. Again, he was back on form last game.
Yeah, and he did play up front against Everton.
2 goals.
Got 2 goals, albeit one of them was up front and one of them was on the left. I wouldn't say. I think he obviously played brilliantly and did a really good job. I wouldn't say there was evidence in that game that he should be starting more regularly against low blocks. I think the goals he scored, obviously, he tackled the keeper, but how often is that going to happen? You know what I mean? And the only other chance he had was a long range shot, which Pickford saved, and obviously the other goal was when he was back on the left. So I'm not saying he didn't do a good job, but he was brilliant. I'm just saying I wouldn't say just on the basis of that game, he needs to start up front in this game just because he scored 2 goals. I think Ange will also be looking at that the same way, and I think he's going to put him back on the left.
We've said it so many times, though, haven't we? Like, horses for causes, and I know you want to play Sonny in the number 9 in certain games, and this ain't one of them, in my opinion.
My point is, you could have argued Everton probably wasn't one of them as well.
100% Everton usually isn't one of them, but Everton were actually just terrible on the day.
But I would also argue, like, the goals he scored wasn't necessarily because he was playing up front. You know what I mean? He could have scored those on the left as well. Yeah. So we're going to put him back on the left, and hopefully, who can be just as effective. And I actually think he's had a really good start to the season, looking sharp. And so we're going to put him back on the left hand side.
And then at number 9, no Solanke, no Richarlison. We spent 65 million.
No Lancashire as well.
No Lancashire as well. How does this happen? We've got 3 strikers and they're all injured. So we are going for Dejan Kulusevski in the number 9, and I feel like this game could be made for him. I love him in the 9 when he drops deep. He's got the physical presence. He's got finishing ability. I think he's got all the good tools to do really well in that system, in that position. So, Decky in the 9.
Yeah, for sure. And obviously, the only time we've seen him start a Premier League game in that position, he scored 2 goals. We saw him start that game a couple of times against Bayern, and he got a goal in the game against the Lane.
Albeit that game in the Premier League was probably against the worst Premier League opposition he's ever faced.
Probably. It's a fair point, but it's, you can only go on what you've seen.
Yeah.
Obviously, he did well in pre-season on the couple of games, a few games he did start there as well. So, on that basis, I think if we're looking for a player who's most likely to make the ball stick in the final third and actually sustain attacks and maybe create something from tough situations and not just kind of have the ball come back at us all the time because we're giving it away. I think you need Decky in the team for sure, and the best way, in my opinion, to fit him into this team would be him in the false 9, given our current option or lack of options in that position. So I reckon Decky in the false 9, and also gives Newcastle an interesting dilemma when he does drop deep and he's playing in that false 9 position where he's dropping into the 10 position, and then you've got Son and maybe Brennan or Odebear, making diagonal runs. How do they counter that? Does one of the centre backs follow in? Do they hold position? And then if they do hold position, does that leave space for the likes of Decky and Maddison to operate in? So that, I think, that gives them more dilemmas than putting Son in the 9, in my opinion.
All right, so there you have it. That is our predicted lineup to face Newcastle at St James's Park. 1:30 kickoff tomorrow. Let's run through that lineup with you guys one more time. So it's Big Vicario in goal, Porro at right back, Udogie at left back, centre backs Mickey van der Ven and Kuti Romero, Bissouma, Bentancur and Maddison in the midfield, Brennan Johnson, Son Heung-min supporting Dejan Kulusevski. In our match preview, we both said 2-2. In our Predict the Prem, I said 2-1 to Newcastle. Sim said 2-2. You said 2-2 in...
2-2.
Yeah, so Sim's sticking with his guns. I'm just getting more positive as time goes on. So let me know your score predictions. Let me know your predicted lineup in the comment section below. Thank you, everyone, for joining us today. Like, subscribe and comment. And as always, come on, you Spurs.